Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
I'm Ben.
Hey, Ben.
What's up?
Okay. Nothing much. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You just seemed a little low energy there, bud.
I'm a little tired.
Oh, when aren't you tired?
Ooh, sometimes when I'm asleep, things are okay, and then I wake up and it's like, wow,
Yeah?
I kind of want to go back to sleep.
Damn, that's crazy. It's almost... Well, never mind. I'll stop myself. I gotta... Sometimes I have to hold back on the podcast because,
Being me's my job.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Depends. You got anything you want to talk about this week before we get to new podcast part of the podcast?
So, not really relevant to the podcast, but kind
Sure.
of like a life thing. So you guys don't know this, but we recorded last week's episode in advance.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually record last weekend
Mm-hmm.
like we normally do.
So I haven't seen Ben in like 2 weeks.
So it's cool to get back to the podcast, but I bring this up because I was on vacation.
Oh, yeah. How was vacation? I meant to ask.
It was good. I went to Florida. We were in Dunedin, which is like 20 minutes away from St. Petersburg.
Okay.
Not Russia. Florida.
I was... Okay.
And I don't know, probably like an hour away from Tampa.
Oh, okay.
It's a nice area and stuff. I did some interesting things. Went
Such
to the
as?
Florida Aquarium,
Oh, that's cool.
it's a nice aquarium. They didn't have the penguins like they usually do. It didn't look like the exhibit was there,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of sucked.
That does suck.
We took a boat out to an island
Whoa,
in
that's
like
cool.
a bay, and it was really cool because it was an old like Civil War fort. So
That's
there
actually
was a
sweet.
lighthouse and then like battlements and stuff. It was used during the Civil War and like the Spanish American War and stuff. There was a bunch of wild tortoises on the island.
Wild horses?
Tortoises.
Oh, I thought you said horses. I was like, what the fuck are these horses doing on
tiny
an
island. No,
Yeah.
they were gopher tortoises, which are about the size of a shoebox.
Oh, I
my
love...
my shoebox, not your shoebox.
Don't we have the same size feet?
I don't think so.
I'm investigating. Yours are... No, they're about the same, bro.
What size shoe do you wear?
Like 12 and a half.
Mine are bigger.
Fuck you.
um,
It's because you're shorter. You have to compensate by having bigger feet.
Nope. But anyways, it was cool because there was a lot of wildlife there. Dolphins and stuff swam around the island.
Oh.
I didn't see them, but apparently there's just a family of manatees that swim around the island, and if you're in the water, they'll just swim up and bump you.
Oh, that's so nice.
So that was cool. And then we went to Ybor City, which my understanding is it's like a very old Cuban district in Florida. It has the oldest restaurant in Florida there.
Whoa, that's actually sweet.
We went there. I think it's called the Columbia. But one of the really interesting things about it, and kind of my whole reason for talking about my trip here, they have an ordinance in that part of the city or that county or whatever that they're allowed to let chickens roam free.
Okay.
So there was just wild chickens everywhere.
I kind of hate that.
Now, technically, since they're wild chickens, they're jungle fowl and not chickens.
No. Okay.
But it was like being in Central Park in New York, but instead of pigeons,
It's chickens.
it was chickens.
Chickens are assholes, bro.
They were real chill.
They were really chill. Well, maybe
Yeah.
those chickens are used to people.
Because
But,
they're
like,
used to people in cars.
yeah, when I lived with my parents, we had chickens because I grew up in the middle of fucking nowhere, and those chickens were assholes.
Maybe they just don't like you.
Well, that's fair. They probably didn't.
Now, I mean, they could fuck you up. All of them had spurs and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, like, roosters everywhere. Totally fine.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually sweet.
They'd walk up to you. Just ignore you.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool. There's an island in Hawaii that's like that. Because of the hurricanes, all the chickens got out, and now they've just...
They're just out there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, for non-Florida related news, I think I only have like one thing, and it was so I literally was talking to Ben before we started recording. I said I don't really have anything interesting about horror that's coming out recently that
He
I'm
says
interested-
that all the time, and then he goes, but I'm going to look at Bloody Disgusting really quick.
Yeah, well, I had to double check. This is important. Okay, not important. I won't say important to the podcast. Relevant to the podcast because I talked about it a while ago. They were talking about making I know you did last summer sequel a while ago, and Freddie Prinze Jr. and
You mean the fourth one?
well, technically this is going to be the third one.
Fourth one.
I don't think the one that was directed to DVD is going to count.
It's called
I think they're
direct-to-video.
skipping- Direct-to-video. I don't think it counts. I think they're skipping that one.
Well, they can skip it all they want, but it's still the fourth movie.
Okay.
They made that shameful piece of media, and they
We
have
still
to live
haven't
with
seen
it.
I don't even know if it's bad.
It's not great.
Anyway, apparently they're starting filming. It's supposed to be directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson.
I don't know who that is.
I also don't know who that is. Okay,
Has she done anything else?
it doesn't see in the article,
Oh,
so I could Google,
you could Google.
but I'm not going to. I'll do it. We'll see.
He's not going to do it.
No, I'm not. Basically, they're making a sequel that will follow up on I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So that movie is canon. It happened. Which, that one's okay. Not as good as the original. Yeah, so it's going to follow canonically that I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is canon. And then it says I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is not canon. They're just going to... That didn't happen.
That makes sense. That
'Cause-
movie has no relation to the main storyline.
Yes. And the people that are going to be in it are Madeline Klein from Outer Banks, Camila Mendez from Riverdale. Oh, that's cool. And Sarah Pigeon from Gotham. Oh, there's more. Tyreek Withers from Atlanta, and Jonah Howard King from Little Mermaid. Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. are also in negotiations to potentially return, which is cool. I'm excited that they're going to come back.
Yeah. One of my weird things with that movie, though, is that I kind of think I'd prefer if they just remade it.
Really?
Yeah, because... Okay, spoilers for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So it's a murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
And the killer is revealed in the first movie
Mm-hmm.
and kicks the bucket.
Yeah. They deal with them.
And then they have to kind of like find someone who's vaguely related and, you know, fit him into the role of the villain for the second film.
Well, isn't it the same guy?
No, Bob, it's not.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. I forgore. Look, that was what, season 5? We're on season 10. It's been 5 seasons, bro. I don't remember shit.
But they do have to do that thing where you do with any series of like murder mysteries like that, where you find someone who's vaguely related, and to do a third one, you have to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone if you want to bring a killer back, and you have to be like, they died, but then they survived.
Yeah, which is pretty stupid usually.
Yeah, and I think it would just be better to just cut your losses and do like a soft reboot or something.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be the same killer, but just kind of that same setup of teens kill someone.
There are consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about it like that.
Because the setup for the second one is just a standard revenge film
Yeah.
and not oh, we did something bad, someone's found out.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I mean, I think the thing that I'm mostly excited about is that it's been so long that they can sort of rehash a lot of the same stuff and make it more modern, and I think that will make it at least a little interesting.
I guess. It's harder to cover a murder in.
Yeah, true. Everyone's got a fucking cell phone
Yep.
taking videos and shit. You asked what else she directed. She also directed, her name is Jennifer Caton Robinson, Do Revenge, which I've never heard of.
What's it called?
Do Revenge. I don't know what that is. Never heard of it.
Hmm.
But it was one of the things. It's also being written by Leah McKendrick, who, it says MFA writing? MFA? Have you heard of a movie called, is it a movie? MFA? That sounds familiar.
It's something. Is that like a writing trainer thing?
I don't know. Look, this was very last minute. Normally I would do more research and actually have prepared notes. I'm literally reading directly from the article.
I think that's a writing program.
Is it? Well, her and Jennifer Caton Robinson wrote the screenplay. But, I mean, I'm semi-excited about it because while I don't like the second one as much as the first one, it's an interesting franchise to get brought back. And I think it'll be cool.
Is it Masters of Fine Arts?
Does she have her... she might have her master's in writing, and that's all it is.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. I've heard that word before at school. Cause
I have too. That's what I was thinking.
I've done writing programs and stuff. So, anyways.
Okay.
You ready for the podcast part of the podcast?
Yeah, I think I'm ready for the podcast part of the podcast.
Okay, so we have some maybe disappointing news for some
Shut
of you that
up.
might have been excited.
Shut up.
Unless Bob changes his mind last minute again. He came into my house and I was like, "You're choosing kaiju because that's what you said 2 weeks ago." And he was like, "I kind of don't want to."
Well, because, listen here, Benjamin.
Which is fine. I don't care. I'm just letting you know.
You sound like you care so much.
I think that's funnier.
Okay, you're right. It is funnier. You're right. Okay.
None of the movies are a surprise to me. We get what we get.
That's true, actually.
at-
Yeah, I guess
at
it's
the
more for
end.
me, isn't it?
It's 100% solely for you.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm not choosing kaiju. I'm sorry. I just don't want to
Shocker.
because I kind of want to save them because I'm gonna be for real. I bet your ass there are multiple movies in some of these kaiju spots, and I don't want to do that again.
I can tell you if you want.
Well, that's a spoiler, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think I've already told you the answer to this.
Okay, are there?
No,
Oh. Well, now I'm more inclined to choose it.
because so my rule for having multiple movies in a spot is either they like kind of feel like they have to go together because they flow into one another,
Sure.
or they thematically fit together.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with kaiju films is most of the big kaiju films
Have a gabillion sequels.
have like a billion
That's
sequels.
why I was expecting multiple movies.
But you don't have to watch those sequels
Okay.
alongside the original,
I see.
and there was really no reason to include them except for just covering them sooner, so I just didn't.
Okay.
So those are all one movie per spot. Normally I wouldn't tell you that, but I'm fairly comfortable with that.
Sure. No, I'm still not going to choose it.
I know.
I just feel bad.
Maybe next week.
Maybe next week. I'm going to choose my category again because I think Dead Alive was really, really fun, and I'm in the mood for something funny
For a
today.
zombie.
I don't even want to like respond to that anymore because it makes me so angry, and I know me getting mad about it makes you happy. It gives you like, anyway. It's not a zombie. It's a zombie comedy. 2 separate words. Maybe a hyphen if you want, but 2 separate words. I'm choosing that one. What did I choose last time?
Dead Alive.
What spot, you bitch?
I think it's 2.
2. What's in 1, Benjamin?
In 1?
Sure.
Today, we are going to be watching Zombie for Sale.
Zombie for Okay, first of all,
You've never heard of this movie.
that's what I was about to. I love this. Is something I love on the podcast when I pitch a category and then pitch a bunch of movies that could be in that category, and then you choose none of them, and then we get a bunch of random
Yeah,
fun
'cause-
shit.
Look behind the curtain for me choosing movies. I hate when you know what's going to be on the board.
I
I hate it because I think it's not interesting. Because
No,
I
it's
think
less fun.
half the fun is you being surprised. So I will often avoid that.
But it sucks because like they're like I want to watch Shaun of the Dead. That's such a good movie.
Sucks.
I know. That's the reason I pitched the category. I went, "Oh, you watch Shaun of the Dead? That'd be great." And man has yet to fucking help me out here.
There's
Throw
one
me a
spot
bone.
left. There's one spot left.
It won't be Shaun of the Dead. It'll be some other shit. This movie is called Zombie for Sale.
Yes,
Okay.
it's from South Korea.
Oh, Korean film. Let's fucking go. Oh, have we watched a Korean movie on the podcast yet? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so.
This is so exciting.
We didn't watch Train to Busan.
No,
for
that's one that I really want
zombies.
to watch.
We watched Japanese stuff.
Yeah, we've seen some Japanese stuff.
I don't think we've seen any Korean stuff.
This is exciting.
It's from 2019.
Oh, it's
So
fairly
it's
new.
fairly new. I really hadn't seen a lot about it. I was just my story for finding this movie is I was looking for movies to get for like the categories for Blu-ray. I was trying to decide what to do for zombies, and I was looking on some of the Blu-ray sites, and I just saw this one, and I was like, wait a second, that looks like a zombie comedy. Just like, why not buy it? It's Korean, that'll be cool. Anyways, description. Nowadays, anything can be a money-making scheme.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
It's called Zombie for Sale, Bob.
No, I know, but who's buying zombies and for why? I guess we'll
For
find
money.
out.
It's an hour and 52 minutes long,
Long ass movie.
so it might be a little bit on the longer side. It's not rated.
Oh, thank God.
Well, I assume that's just because they didn't pay for.
No, but
A
like
rating.
usually when a film is not rated, it's they could do whatever and it's fine.
No, but I think it's more because it just did festivals, and I don't necessarily know if it got a wide-scale release.
Okay.
IMDb gave it a 6.6 out of 10,
That's pretty good.
tomato meter an 89%,
Oh, okay.
and an audience score of 78%. Awards 2 wins and 0 nominations.
Sweet.
Notable actors: Jung Jae-young as Jun Gol. He was Kim Seung-gun in Castaway on the Moon. Sorry if I mispronounce any of these
I was
names.
about to say neither of us speak Korean.
They're in Korean. Also, most of these things are in our Korean stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Nam-gil as Min-gul. They were Kim Hae-il from The Fiery Priest. They were on 40 episodes from 2019 to now. Looks like it's still on. Ji-won as Namju. They were Mihi in Hope. Lee Soo-kyung as Hagel. They were Mira in Heart Blackened. Jung Ga-ram as Jong-bi. They were Gwang-soo, the young version, in 4th place. And finally, Park In-hwan as Man-duk. They were the Priest Row in Thirst. and I will say this now, couldn't find a lot on this movie.
Sure.
It was
I mean,
also-
it's fairly new.
Well, no, I think it was just a very small, like, kind of indie film.
Sure.
And it was also really hard to find stuff on not only production, like I could find nothing, but on the people who made it.
Wow. Holy shit.
So I'm sorry if I missed anyone or I don't get anything right. For instance, it looks like there was 2 writers,
Oh.
but one of them wasn't listed in some places. Kind of stuff.
Weird.
Anyways, director is Lee Min-jae. They were one of the writers as well, and it looks like this was their feature debut as a film director,
That's pretty cool.
which is really cool. And then the other writer is Jung Seo-in, but both of them have not written anything else. Couldn't really find anything about them either. Don't know anything about the budget, but it looks like the estimated box office was 1.9 million.
That's quite a good amount of money,
So,
especially for
pretty
like an
great.
indie film.
I already said country of origin in South Korea, also known as The Odd Family Zombie on Sale. That's the alternative title in the U.S. at least. Tagline: what do you know about a zombie?
That's a good question.
My only fact,
Nice.
besides stuff I already went over, principal photography began on October 13th, 2017, and wrapped up on January 21st, 2018. So,
Pretty short for real.
I mean,
Well, October
Kinda.
to January.
well, for modern movies, that's okay. A lot of them get it done in like a month, like
Yeah.
big studios.
But this is like not a big studio production. You know what I mean? This is like a
as far
smaller
as I'm
film.
aware.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As far as we know. Okay. I know that was your only fact, but before we get to the film, I want to talk about what I know about Korean media, or at least Korean zombie stuff, because I know a little bit. We all know that like there's some really popular Korean shows on like Netflix, like Squid Games and stuff like that. There's a really, really good Korean zombie show called All of Us Are Dead. I'm hoping, this is me just like generalizing with everything I know currently, which is almost nothing, that this is similar to that in that the zombies are fucking gnarly. Like the zombies in that show.
Okay,
it's
so Bob, that's a serious zombie show, and this is a zombie comedy.
This isn't, but it is serious,
A
but
zombie.
it's not. Shut up.
as some might say.
My point is, I'm excited to see how the Korean zombie differs from the American zombie, and I know a little bit about it already, and that's
Okay.
exciting. And I just wanted to preface my knowledge going into this movie. Okay, that's all. That show is really good, by the way. If you like zombie film, like zombie TV shows, it's very cool.
If you like zombie movies, just go watch Train to Busan.
I've heard it's like the best one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
wanna watch it.
basically what all Korean zombies are based on, is that
okay.
movie.
Cool. I'm just really excited. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta go get the Blu-ray.
Okay, yeah. Well, see you guys after the movie. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We just finished watching Zombie for Sale.
Yeah. Do
Yep.
you like it?
Okay. Look, Ben and I, we have a tendency to like foreign media. This is one of my favorite movies we've watched in so long.
Yeah.
Like, it is so funny.
I
and
will say,
fun.
I thought it looked fun. That's why I ended up popping up on this one instead of something else.
Yeah.
Especially knowing very little about it. I did think it'd be a good movie. It was so much better than I thought.
It was so much better. Like, the review scores, you can tell I'm flustered, are low considering how good this movie is from what we just watched. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised.
And I do think that's kind of the similar situation as One Cut of the Dead, which is very similar in that it's also like a foreign
Zombie feature.
comedy. It's kind of that idea of, it's a foreign film, which
Yeah.
that's really hard for Americans, and that tends to be your main audience, I think, for a lot of stuff, especially the websites we're looking on for reviews. Coupled with the fact that because it's a comedy and a horror movie, that isn't everyone's shtick. And so I think you're either going to really, really like this film because it's right up your alley, or just be like, this is a shitty zombie movie or a shitty comedy movie.
I don't think it's either of those things, by the way. I think it's great.
But shockingly enough, me and Bob both liked it. So
It's so good.
it was great.
I think most of the outtakes are just us cackling at how stupid and funny this movie is.
Not even cackly. Full, like
belly laughing.
Yeah.
Like, just losing our minds.
on that note, then, I recommend you go watch this without any spoilers.
Oh, for sure.
Don't even watch the trailer, because the trailer does give some stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a slow movie. It's an hour and 50 minutes long.
But it doesn't feel like an hour and 50 minutes.
No. So, with that being said, we're going to do a quick synopsis, and then we'll get into the film and actual spoilers. So, what this film is about is it's about the Park family. I don't know their names.
Well, the youngest daughter is Hagul, and then there's fuck. I only know her name.
Exactly. They're the Park family. That's their last name.
Oh, the wife is Namjoon. That's her name.
Okay. Well, they're the Park family, and they end up finding Jongbi,
You didn't come on by that name? Okay.
who's a guy, and might be a zombie.
Kind of.
I think the name Jongbi is a play on how they say zombie, right?
I think it is, yeah.
In either case, they end up figuring out that people who get bitten by the zombie end up feeling much better. Like, they feel much younger after they get bitten.
Yeah. They like de-age a little bit.
Yeah. And from that point on, they're like, how do we market this?
How do we make money doing this?
Because they're like these very poor, like, gas station family. They own a gas station.
Yeah.
They don't
Like-
have any money.
so poor that the opening to this movie is one of the funniest, like, it's like a harebrained Ed, Edd n Eddy scheme. Like, it's insane.
And, of course, you know, if you decide to profit off a zombie, things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
So if that sounds good, I'd highly recommend it. But go in blind. It's a lot of fun. With that being said, we're going to get into the actual movie. So, is there anything you want to start with, Bob?
Well, I think we should start with the beginning, because I just brought it up. But the basically the opening to this movie is one of the... I'm going to explain this as best I can, but I'm bad at this. So,
Do you need me to do it?
if you want. Because there's a point I'm trying to get to, but if you explain it, I'll get to it eventually.
Okay. Like Bob said, this film opens with a harebrained scheme. Some might call it a scam
It is a big scam.
or reckless endangerment.
Both.
Essentially, after we have a quick shot of Jongbi coming out of a canister buried in the ground, Return of the Living Dead style,
Yeah.
we cut to a car driving down the road, and it gets caltropped.
Yeah. There's like spikes in the road.
Its tires puncture, it swerves out of control, and it slams, I think, into a bridge.
Slams into like a guardrail.
And the second it comes to a stop, we see a tow truck turn on and come to pull up to the car and, like, hook it up.
Without even asking the people in the car if they want the tow, they literally just start towing them away.
Because very obviously, whoever is in the tow truck has set up this situation. And the whole thing's portrayed like it's super malicious. Like, the guy who gets out is wearing, like, a rain slicker. You can't see him. But, of course, no. It's one of the Park family members who is just trying to run a scheme for money.
Yeah. Because if they're the only tow truck in town, who else are they going to go to fix their car? And then they can charge them an insane amount of money to fix it.
It wasn't that insane.
But it was, even the dude, when they was trying to pay, was like, this is really expensive, you guys.
Yeah, I guess.
But my point is, I love the opening of this movie because it sets up the Parks as like sleazeballs in a certain way. Like they're portrayed as not good people, if that makes sense. Like they're trying to like scam people to make money. And the progression that you get by the end of the film is, I love these people. They're so fun. Like the zero to hero thing is so fun to me, and it's so well portrayed in this movie because by the end of it, I actually give a shit about these dirtbags.
I don't know if it's even Zero the hero. Kind of, I think what Bob's trying to say is every member of the Park family, except maybe the youngest daughter,
Yeah.
is very money-oriented.
Mhm.
Like, they're very clearly people who don't have anything and will do anything to get a buck.
Something, anything.
And so they're just constantly looking to benefit from any situation.
Yeah. It's just really cool to go from not liking characters because they feel scummy to loving characters in a film like this. Like, it's so stark and different.
I guess. I didn't ever have a problem with them.
Really?
Because, yeah, they have that sense of, like, always after a quick buck. They feel like an over-exaggerated rogue character.
Sure.
But it's so over-exaggerated that they seem like the Eds from Ed, Edd n Eddy. I think that's probably the best example, where they just feel harmless. Like, yeah, they're scamming people, but it's fairly easy to avoid scams.
True.
I mean, you said they overcharged those people for the tire. I think they only charged, like, what?
I don't know. I think
14,000
it said,
won?
well, of course we watched it with subtitles because neither of us speak Korean.
Yeah.
So the subtitles said $1,400, which I don't know if that means 1,400 Korean currency or
I
1,400
assume
American dollars?
That's fair enough. I assume it meant Korean currency
Maybe.
because no one carries $14,000 with them.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of money.
I mean, it's more than they had.
Yeah, but I think like 10,000 won is like $7.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know the conversion rate. My point is, I just really love that the beginning of this movie establishes them as not good people that are, for me at least, unlikable. And by the end of the movie, because of the character progression that we get and all of the things that I see, I'm actually like in love with a lot of these characters. Like they're just all so cool and fun.
Yeah, they just seem like over exaggerated people you wouldn't see in real life.
Sure.
I mean, there's essentially 5 members of the family. There's the dad, who's just crotchety old man.
I was about to say curmudgeonly old bastard.
We don't really see a lot of him. There's the eldest son, who's the tow truck driver.
Yeah. And
Um,
also a major bitch.
And hits things first, asks questions later.
Yeah. God.
His wife, who is
classic housewife who beats people.
just
She-
hard as nails.
Yeah, she's like, I think I called her like a wretched bitch multiple times during the movie because she is. At the beginning of this movie, she is so just like aggressive and like mean spirited to everyone, no matter what it is, and it's so funny.
The scummy middle child who just will do literally anything.
Because he's like a savvy businessman or something who went to like college. Like he
He's
like got away from it, you know?
He's a want-to-be savvy businessman.
True.
I don't necessarily think he went to college. He's just wearing a
no,
suit.
he did. He makes the line of like something.
Even a
what's
college guy would get something wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
That does not mean he went to college.
Well,
And then
you
there's
know,
the youngest daughter who's just kind of...
she's a
there.
okay person. Like she's not malicious.
But yeah, it's just a fun cast of characters. I think that's kind of the takeaway.
Yeah.
They're the type of people who it's fun to watch because they bicker and squabble, very reminiscent of, again, over-exaggerated cartoon characters like the Three Stooges. That's kind of reminiscent for me with how physically comedic they are. But they're exactly the archetypes where you know if they're given something, they're just going to escalate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it really good for a comedy story.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. I just realized it kind of reminds me of like the It's Always Sunny cast in a similar way, of like
Just
these-
a dysfunctional family.
just dysfunctional as fuck, but it works.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to refer to them as. And then, we haven't mentioned the last member of the Park family, Jongbi.
Oh well, yeah, that does happen.
Now, Jongbi is our zombie character, and he's very interesting
He's cool.
because he's semi-sentient.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has some level of awareness coupled with, like, bite stuff instinct
Mm-hmm.
that seems to balance out fairly well. I think Bob will agree with me here that he's somewhat reminiscent of Bub.
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe more intelligent, but there's definitely some, like, awareness that stuff is going on. Like, he's clearly thinking.
Like he makes interesting choices that a classic zombie would not make.
Yeah, and I think he's very interesting because they set him up as a romantic lead
Yeah,
for the youngest daughter.
which is so funny to watch.
And it's very funny because there are some sequences with a zombie chasing a girl, and they play romance music in the background.
And it's really funny.
perfect. But the thing to note about Jongbi is, besides the fact that he's somewhat intelligent and in a lot of ways can just pass as, like, a drunk,
Yeah, I mean they humanize him in a lot of really interesting ways, and it's really cool.
he really likes cabbages
Yeah, that is a fact.
because it's a head of lettuce or a head of cabbage
Yeah.
in this case. And I thought that was
And
a
it
fun
looks like
joke.
a brain.
But I thought it was interesting because they're able to treat him more like a person.
Mhm.
And, at one point they do make the joke that they pass him off to the police as
Their son.
Jongbi Park.
Yeah.
Which is why I called him that. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch the escalation throughout the film as he becomes more a part of the family.
Because at least in the beginning, he feels very much like he's an outsider, like looking in. And by the end of the movie, he is basically literally a member of the family. Like they treat him like they
They-
eat dinner with him at the dinner table.
They literally put him in the family photograph.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fun.
But yeah, that's the main cast. I think they were really interesting. But I think what really pulls this movie through, besides them, because they do most of this, is the humor.
Yeah.
This film is just very stylized. Like, no part of it is very serious.
Mhm.
I mean, the simple fact that our main zombie eats heads of cabbage because, get it, it's a brain eating joke, is
It's funny.
indicative of what this film is. We already talked about how the oldest son likes to hit things first and ask
Yeah.
questions later. His defining trait is he just drop kicks the shit out of stuff.
Oh god, and it's so funny. And the funniest part about it is that he does it, and his dad goes, "Why do you flying kick them? What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't know."
And he keeps doing
He
it.
keeps doing it. And it works every single time.
And, you know, lots of characters have parts of them that is reflective of this. Like, his wife just hits stuff with frying pans, like, over the
It's
head
so
all the
funny.
time.
It's so good.
But there's just tons of the film that is very absurd, I think is probably the best word.
It's absurd, but
It's not outside the realm of reality. It's just like, who would do this? For instance, along the lines for Jongbi, where he eats zombie-like things, he's really into ketchup
yeah.
because it's red.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up putting ketchup on stuff they want him to bite.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's funny.
It is fun. It's just at the level of lunacy, but stays within the realms of reality. Like it's the perfect balance.
I'm pretty sure they did it solely so they could put ketchup on someone's arm like a hot dog and have him bite it.
It's funny.
But I think that is kind of the thing that makes this movie hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it is just like, objectively, not a lot happens for how long this film is. I mean, the plot of this film is the family stumbles upon this zombie. It bites the dad. Spoilers, but that happens within the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes maybe.
It bites the dad. The dad feels like he gets younger, which is a pretty big reveal for us because it's, again, that's in the trailer. Most of this is kind of in the trailer, but it's revealed he's young, and then they try to profit off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the first, like, hour of the film. Now, if you couldn't guess, things start to go wrong in the last 50 minutes, but objectively, that's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And really what has to hold up the film is the humor. Because, yeah, the characters are interacting, and we do get some characterization moments, but
Oh.
it's not very deep.
But the family dynamic is so funny and interesting.
Because I think at the end of the day, the characters already know each other. There's nowhere to really go with their relationships.
Mm-hmm. But it does change. You know what I mean? Like at the
Well,
beginning,
they're stress tested,
yeah.
but their relationships still remain family.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that is, but both the pro and con of this film. You know,
Yeah. I mean, I think really what makes it so hard to talk about is like a lot of it is physical comedy, and without seeing it, I can't explain how funny it is. Like we explained that he like flying kicks people, but it is the most like kung fu style, like over the top flying kick I've ever seen in my life, and it's awesome.
well, because it's almost always a timing thing.
Yeah.
because he comes off screen
And you
he-
don't expect it.
It's unexpected,
And they time them so far apart that you forget that he does it by the time he does it again. So when he does it, it's awesome.
And I think the thing to be said here is that this film really excels in the writing aspect.
Oh, it's so well written.
I mean, to write a film like this, you have to have really good actors, and I think everyone does a great job really committing to their roles. But this film is just well written. It doesn't feel too slow, even though it probably should at an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is just how well written and snappy some of the dialogue is. And, you know, that's coupled with great cinematography. I think this thing looks really pretty.
It is really pretty.
They shot in the middle of the countryside. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if it's like an actual village or if it's an abandoned one, just because of how much dumb shit they do there.
Oh yeah, they trashed that place.
But, you know, everything looks really great. And the cinematography is really interesting. I mean, we talked about how this guy jump kicks from the side of the screen. So there's a lot of stuff where things will come out of frame, and I think those are well done. But then there's some weird stuff. Lots of slow-mo.
Yeah, but it's like exaggerated over the top slow mo that works because
Mhm.
it's supposed to be funny.
And then there's some stuff that's straight up, like, actually cartoony. I think one of my favorite slow motion sequences is they're doing the classic, like, running away from a mob, and the characters start screaming. And instead of, like, getting to hear them talk in slow motion, we instead see the words shoot out of their mouth.
In like animated like text.
I thought that was super creative.
It's so funny.
And that's just kind of how the whole movie is. It's just a very, very creative film. And I'm shocked by how well done it is for
No, me too, man.
being assumedly a fairly small picture.
It definitely seems like
Because it does feel like a small film.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't get the feel that this was a big budget.
No, because it's clunky in some really interesting ways, but it doesn't take away from it. It adds character, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely felt like an indie film.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I like about it so much, is it doesn't feel like overproduced. It feels like something that people put a lot of effort and energy into, and it's something that they really cared about and put a lot of love into the movie, and you can tell.
I guess with all that being said, I think the really interesting thing to talk about with this film then is how the zombies are.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
We talked about Jongbi, and he's very interesting because he's different than the other zombies we see. Most of the zombies in this film, first of all, they get bit by Jongbi
Yeah.
because it makes them spry and young. But we learn eventually that that's a kind of incubation period
Mm-hmm.
for the zombie virus. Essentially, it seems like they're okay for probably months.
I don't know if it's months, but it's probably like at least a couple weeks or something.
Enough time for them to redo the gas station.
True, that's true. That a bunch of time does pass, actually.
At which point they rapidly turn into zombies. And the zombies they turn into are more the stereotypical Korean zombies.
Yeah.
Jittery movements, but they move fairly quickly. And very notably, they're not intelligent in the same way Jongbi is.
Yeah.
My take on that might just be the simple fact that Jongbi was infected longer.
Yeah.
It's unclear how long he was in that barrel,
No, we don't know.
but he was plastic wrapped in there. So
True.
probably a while. But I thought it was really interesting to see the two different types, especially because one was more stereotypical
Mm-hmm.
for what you'd expect. But they play around a lot with kind of the logistics of what zombies are
Mm-hmm.
in interesting ways. For instance, they know, hey, zombies are attracted usually to like light and sound. And so they make a whole zombie rave joke.
It's really funny.
Or like if we blow some stuff up, they'll just walk towards it because
Mhm.
they're awed like children. They also did some stuff where they played around with the whole idea that like zombies find people by smell. And it was really this moment where you realize that the film's playing around with tropes for the
Yeah.
genre.
It really does.
All this is coming from one of the characters did research on zombies from movies.
It bends a lot of the tropes of the genre in really interesting and cool ways and makes them work to the benefit of the film.
While still taking them seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, that's the whole thing with this film. For how absurdist it is, it feels very real.
Yeah. That is what is so impressive to me. I said this earlier, but it's like the perfect balance of absurd, insane situations mixed with real stakes, it feels like. Like, it really feels like there are, like, stakes in the situation once you get to the point of things going bad. But also, it doesn't lose the comedy bite that it has the entire movie because we've established these character traits, and the characters don't lose them when they're in stress. They just get amplified and are even funnier. And it's
Yeah.
really fun. It's, like, so good. We haven't talked about it yet, but we can talk about the way the zombies look if you want. I like them. I think they look good. It's pretty generic, but it's, like, very classic, from what I know, Korean-style zombies,
Yeah,
where it's, like,
they were just classic Korean zombies.
like black veins, like blood, pretty
Yeah.
basic shit.
I think the only interesting one, again, was Jongbi, I think,
Yeah.
had blue veins, right?
They were like slightly blue rather than the black.
Which was different than the standard zombies we see throughout the
Mhm.
film. But the big thing is their eyes were a weird color.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that they noted.
What were they, like blue?
Yeah, they were like blue.
Which
Blue and
was-
like cloudy.
Odd.
It was cool.
And, I thought all the effects on this were decent.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with any of the blood or anything like that. The thing is, it's a zombie comedy, but it doesn't treat the gore as a funny aspect.
No, there's, in fact, very little gore.
Yeah, it's pretty goreless compared to something like Dead Alive, where it's like the gore is over the top and insane, and that is hilarious. This is more like the gore is there to facilitate the zombies, but it's not intense in any way.
No, and so I thought everything looked pretty good because they didn't have to go super far with practical
Yeah,
effects.
you didn't need it. Because that wasn't the point.
Yeah. They did touch some stuff up with CGI, but I thought all that looked
It looked fine.
good.
Yeah. There's actually some, I think, pretty good CGI stuff near the end of the film that I really liked.
Reflections and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks cool. I think another thing we haven't talked about is because this movie takes so long to get to, like, the things going bad with the zombies thing, we got to an hour, and I was like, well, how much more of this, like, what could possibly happen now? Like, what could possibly go bad? And the fact that it at first is, like, a zombie rom-com sort of situation and then flips to an actual zombie movie after an hour is insane.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
that's so much time to build up these characters and create these situations and really flesh out the world and the environment, and then to just throw it all on its head for the last 50 minutes is, like, that takes balls. Like, you have to, like, really know what you're going for to do something like that.
yeah, I mean, it's functionally two different movies. Like, they could have ended it at the hour-minute mark. The 60-minute mark.
And it would have been fine.
And it would have been fine, a very different movie. But they were like, let's do that and then a more classic zombie movie.
It allows all the character progression stuff to really work, because once the characters are put in these stressful situations, all of their funny character traits get changed and amplified, and it really makes you care about them because you spent an hour learning about these characters and getting invested in them. And so now that they're stressed out and put in endangering situations, it's cool and fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Do we want to talk about the very end of this movie? Because it's so funny. It's one
say
of the funniest things in this movie.
we leave it,
Okay.
but I think there is such a great payoff.
Oh, it's so good.
And we kind of knew it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. We called it quite a
Because-
while in.
You know there has to be something,
Yeah.
but the way they take it is both unexpected and better than I could have ever imagined.
Oh, it's incredible. That's what we'll say. The ending of this movie, like, makes the whole film so worth it. It was already great. Like, if they had just done what we wanted and given us payoff for the thing we knew was going to happen, that would have been fine. I would have had a good time. But the ending just throws it, like, way over the top. Like, it's insane. It's so, so good. There's, like, one more thing I want to talk about, and it's not even, like, that really big of a thing.
okay.
But there are stunts, like explosions and, like, car stuff. All that stuff looks good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. Like, for a low-budget film, all the explosions and car stuff looks great.
I assume they did most of it with CGI or
Or
miniatures,
minis, right?
It was hard to tell.
It was hard to tell. But I
Which-
think that's a good thing, right?
It's good. Yeah.
It was really well done. And a lot of the action sequences where people are getting attacked by zombies look great. They do a really good job with, like, crowd work and making the horde feel big.
Yeah, for how little characters there are. I mean, you could tell there wasn't too many extras,
Yeah.
but they do a good job of stocking the scenes. And I mean, some wild stuff. At one point, one of the characters drives through a horde of zombies in a car and is, like, swerving. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's really well done.
how did they not hit anyone?
Mhm. It's really well choreographed. It looks really cool. It's really nice.
So I think it's the takeaway for this film. It's a simple concept,
Well,
kind of, but executed, like,
perfectly.
amazingly. And
like,
that's
it's incredible.
really what carries it.
Yeah. Man, this movie, it really blew me out of the water, for real. We haven't had a movie like this in quite a long time, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
Glad you picked it.
Me too. With that being said, I guess recommendations and then
Sure.
rate it.
If you like Korean media in any way, I've not seen a Korean horror movie up. This is my first one, I think. Horror
Probably,
movie.
yeah.
I've watched Korean horror shows, which are good. I like those too. But this is really, really good. I really like it.
And I would argue more specifically, if you like Korean zombie movies, I
Yeah.
think this really plays around with the zombie tropes associated with that subgenre
Yeah.
of zombie films. And I think did a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point they show a brief scene from Train to
And
Busan.
it's really funny when he's doing the research to figure out how to deal with the zombies.
And, you can tell what they're basing a lot of stuff on. And I thought that was really great.
It's really cool. If you are interested in a zombie comedy, this is I don't want to say, okay, I think it's the best zombie comedy I've ever seen. Like, it's so funny and great. And
I don't
like,
know. One Cut of the Dead was also really good, but in a very different
It's a
way.
very different kind of film.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare them, But it's really cool. Like, zombie comedy, top tier, in my opinion. If you want a movie about family and family dynamics and how they can get really out of hand, this movie is so good because it's such a small cast of characters that you really focus on, you learn a lot about, and they're so fun to watch. Like, it's just so much fun. If you want to see the effects of a zombie epidemic on a small town, it's really cool. All the shots in the town are awesome. Like, they're so fun. I think that's it.
Okay. I think a lot of the same stuff as Bob. If you're looking for a Korean film, specifically Korean zombie films, I think this is great. If you're interested in a zombie or a zomcom,
No, you can't keep getting away with this.
I think it does good on both respects. More so the zombie part than the zomcom, but There's not a lot to offer on the Zomcom field.
Isn't that the same thing?
Well, it's a rom-com, but with the zombies, so it's a Zomcom.
Oh, I realize what you did now. It's still stupid and I hate it, but I realize what you did.
Well, there's not a lot of Zomcoms. So
Didn't one just come out?
a couple of years ago.
Well, no, there was the new one, the Frankenstein one. Isn't that the same thing?
It's Frankenstein. But yeah, kind
What are
of.
you gonna call that? A Frankencom? A Francom?
Frankenstein.
Not Frankenstein.
In either case, I thought it hits those two tiny subgenres really well. But the big thing, I think, is if you just want a comedy. Like, it was really funny.
It's so funny.
And, if you're looking for a funny foreign picture, it's great.
Yeah.
You're just going to give it a 5, bub.
Why you didn't know? What is that?
I'm just asking.
No, well, ask me the other question first.
Bob, what are you going to rate it? 5?
5.
Bob's just mad at me because he thinks I'm telling him what to do.
No, that's not what it is. No, this movie deserves a 5, for real. Like, I'm actually like, we throw around 5s, I feel like, sometimes a little willy-nilly.
Well, that's because I try to put good movies on the board.
True, because watching a bad movie is not fun. This movie wholeheartedly deserves a 5. It is so incredibly funny. It's well made. I really don't have any gripes, for real. Like, fantastic. We haven't even talked about it. The dude that plays Jongbi does such an incredible job.
Acting like a zombie?
Acting like a zombie. Like,
yeah.
It is... it's so good. I wanted to mention that earlier. I just forgot. But, like, the way he acts is so well done and, like, comedic in a really weird way because he feels like a classic Korean zombie, but, like, a little bit amped. So it's just wacky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm also going to give it a 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was really good. I don't really have any gripes with it. It was just fun. I think they had an idea. They went for it, and I think they did it as well as anyone could hope for.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. Man, I'm glad I didn't pick Kaiju this episode. I'm glad we watched this.
It's always next week.
There's always next week. There is always next week. Okay. Outtakes?
Yeah, we'll see how many are usable, because it was just us, like, scream laughing.
Screaming and laughing. Yeah. That's how you know a movie's actually funny, when the outtakes are completely unusable because we're laughing too hard. Well, see you guys in a minute. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
Nope.
Are you sure?
So, I mean, nothing new.
I mean, you talk about it every episode. It's never going to happen.
So I'm not going to talk about it.
Not even the other thing?
No.
None of it. You're not talking about any of it.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. I know it's not what you're talking about. I watched,
Not that. That's not what I'm talking about.
What?
The other thing.
What's the other thing?
Okay, first of all, we have to release the Unholy Trinity at some point,
Yeah.
which we have not recorded another episode of.
No.
And we probably will not today either, due to scheduling errors. Errors? Consequences. Scheduling. Look, it's Ben's fault. That's all I got to say. Secondly, we're going to do convention prep at some point.
Woo.
And we should announce and talk about that on the outro, because, that's something that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I did that last week.
Ben, you should but it's every week. What if there's a new listener and they don't know?
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Well, now they do.
You're despicable.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places. If you're checking us out there, please give us a quick review or a rating. That really helps us out with getting recommended to other people there. You could also maybe suggest the podcast to a friend if you think they'd like our shitty little show. I apologize in advance for their disappointment, but
We may be
hope you're here because we
little,
enjoy,
but we are not shitty.
We enjoy you guys watching. Well, you're little.
Wow.
Otherwise, we're on YouTube, which, while not the best place for audio-only content, is really nice for us. It's probably the easiest way for us to gauge like viewer retention and stuff with likes and subscriptions, stuff like that. With that being said, YouTube does have a couple cool tools you might appreciate. There's a bell button, which lets you get notified whenever we post a new video. So in case we post something out of our usual format, in case of like a double video like we did last week. There's a search button, which lets you search for keywords in all our videos. For instance, movie titles, if you're looking to see if we've covered a specific thing. But the big thing with YouTube is the comment section. which lets you talk to us, ask us questions about the podcast, anything like that. You know, we try to engage with you guys. You can also go over to Twitter at Beware the Board and go talk to Bob. Maybe see if he's interested in any money-making schemes. Maybe one that's cone-shaped, but like an upside-down cone. You might be able to get him into something.
I'm not okay. I may be stupid, but I'm not that.
He
stupid.
just needs to hit a jackpot, man. He's really tight on funds.
That's a good joke. That was a good reference to something we didn't talk about in the movie at all.
That's what I'm here for.
Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter at Beware the Board. It's where we post updates about the show, information about the show. Basically, if there's anything you want to know about the show, it goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, we post a spoiler post for that week's worth of episodes, which is a hidden movie cover you can reveal, so you can watch the film before we do. So when you listen to episodes, you don't get any spoilers, and we're being vague about stuff, you know what we're talking about. Then on Fridays, or whatever other day an episode goes live, I always post a link to the episode whenever it goes up. So if you ever missed an upload or want to know when something went up, there's always a link there. Last thing, we make short form content for the show over on TikTok at Beware the Board and on YouTube Shorts.
It finally happened, guys. Bob made a short. It took him like 4 months.
4 months, but
It happened.
it happened. I made another TikTok and a YouTube short. They're up. It's up as of posting this, or not posting, as of recording this and posting it. It will have already been up for like a week or something. It's out. I'm gonna try and keep up with it again, but it's tough when you have 2 jobs and a girlfriend and have to actually edit the podcast because you know that has to happen.
So lazy.
Eat a bag of dicks, Ben. So if you like short form content and enjoy the show, check us out there at Beware the Board on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. Benjamin, I think we're done.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week for maybe kaijus.
No, we won't. Well, we'll see you guys next week, but it won't be kaijus.